Hey you, imagine you're a pretty girl, minding your own business in ancient Greece. I'm sorry, but you've got a big storm coming. This is Zeus, king of the gods, lord of Olympus, a notorious serial flannerer. He's a player, and she needs to make his game, cheating on his wife Hera, who's probably going to kill you now, so I guess we're ready for that? For manifestation, his personal life was full of vice and debauchery, and I argue that the ancient exploits of Zeus form the basis of the archetypical fuckboy. Let's go through some of what the reputable site Thought Catalog has to say about fuckboys. Here are 15 tragic signs you're dating a fuckboy. Fortunately for us, there are plenty of myths of Zeus acting down bad, so this should not be too hard to see how he fits in. He's constantly begging for nudes. Well, I don't think they really had nudes in ancient Greece. I mean, guys were shown naked all the time, but that's a fine art. So does straight up stalking count? I swear, half of his stories start with Zeus peeping on some poor girl who's totally oblivious to being what the sky god spies upon. He had an unadulterated desire for female company, so I don't think he could really help himself from asking for some nudes. He says he doesn't believe in labels. Zeus always seems to have some kind of new fling. Supposedly he had 7 wives, and at that point does the label mean much anymore? Especially when he goes and fucks whoever else he wants. And some more labels he doesn't really care about are family labels. Sister, wife, niece, granddaughter. They all kind of blur together for Zeus. Amongst the god family ties don't really stop much perverse action if you understand me. Even daughters of his, like Aphrodite, can come under his lusty eye. Maybe it's because Hera won't call him daddy, but speaking of family. He's disrespectful to his mother. Zeus's mother was the Titan Rhea. It seems they mostly had a serviceable relationship. There are a few potential rough spots. Supposedly she disapproved of Zeus marrying Hera, his sister. I can't see why. But things get a little more suspect when you dive into Orphic myths because Holy Mother of Zeus things get wacky. In one tradition, Zeus is overcome with carnal desire for his mother. She turned into a snake to try to escape, but Zeus did the same thing in pursuit. Eventually, he caught up to her and proceeded to do the most unsavory of things to her. So, yeah, given the fact that most Olympian relationships are dysfunctional as a rule, it's safe to say he was not the favorite son. He never wants to be seen in public with you. Zeus takes caution in public to the extreme due to fear of his wife Hera finding out about his infidelities. A favorite strategy of his is to turn into an animal to conceal his identity from both his wife and his lovers. He's taken many forms over the years: an eagle, a bull, a fire, a swan, a goose, an ant, somehow making that work. Who also doesn't enjoy a good golden shower? Well, Danae didn't, when Zeus turned into a stream of liquid gold to impregnate her while she was imprisoned. The result of this union was Perseus, the namesake of the titular character of the 2010 acclaimed film Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief. Maybe it's for their own good that Zeus transformed himself. He at least tries to hide them from his wife, and she's the one they need to fear in these situations. As they say, having a double life means double the wife's unrelenting fury and hatred towards the ones you cuck her with. Some of what Hera has done to Zeus's victims include cursing them, driving them from their homes, turning them into animals, stealing their children, setting the Furies on them, or tricking them into killing themselves, just to name a few. He says things like bros before hoes. Well, let's look at one of Zeus's brothers. Hades had the hots for one of Zeus's daughters, Persephone, but there was a complication as her mother Demeter would not allow her to go to the underworld with Hades. So Zeus gave Hades permission to claim her, and in this case he put his bros before his hoes. And you may say it's inappropriate to see his daughter as a hoe, but that has not stopped Zeus before, and Zeus saw to it that his brother got to experience a time-honored Olympian tradition of kidnapping their flings. Yay! You have no idea how many other women are in his life. Oh, honey, you do not know the least of it. He talks shit about his exes. The story of Metis may have some relevancy here. She was one of Zeus's first loves and was the wisest of all the gods. She was key to defeating the Titans by telling Zeus how to make Cronus throw up his other children. But unfortunately, there was a prophecy that a son would be born to Zeus by Metis who would exceed the power of his father and supplant him as ruler of the gods. And how dare an unborn child possibly rival the father? So Zeus did the reasonable thing and ate her to get rid of the child and prevent a threat to his power. But one day, Zeus developed an intense pain in his head. Unknown to Zeus, they both managed to survive inside of him somehow. He cracked it open, and out burst Athena, goddess of wisdom, fully grown and ready to take a place on Mount Olympus. This goes to show that kids can be a headache, and that you should always have a backup plan, because oral contraceptives don't always work. He keeps hitting on you. I think this brings up the story of Io. She was just an innocent girl, minding her own business, going about her life, until she caught the gaze of Zeus. The irony is that she was a priestess of Hera, his freaking wife, but nevertheless, Zeus began a pursuit. Io tried to remain vigilant, rejecting Zeus, hiding from him, until her father kicked her out of his home because some oracle told him to. So, thanks, Dad. Eventually, they get busy, but like so many other times, Hera found out. And we have a bit of a role reversal here, as Zeus turns the girl into the animal instead of himself in order to hide her. But Hera has seen this trick probably hundreds of times and knows what's up. Shenanigans ensue, not particularly relevant to the point I'm making. But if the guy keeps coming on to you, is already married, and has a fondness for zoophilia, just do whatever you can to avoid his wife because she's a dangerous one. He's judgy. Most times I don't think Zeus sticks around long enough to say anything to the girls he's with, but one of his favorite pastimes when he's not two-timing his wife is punishing others with strife, particularly sending them to Tartarus for eternal damnation. Ixion's case really gets me. Ixion murdered his father-in-law while he was Ixion's guest. This led to him being ostracized by the rest of Greece. He fell from grace and his kingship. Not wanting to turn away a fellow kinslayer, Zeus took pity on him and invited him up to Olympus. However, Ixion soon grew to desire Hera. When Zeus learned of this, he became furious. Kinslaying, sure, but adultery with my wife, nah. We can't be having those in the house of Olympus philander with others who are not their spouse, Zeus presumably said. So he created a fake Hera for Ixion to sleep with, and then caught them in the act. Ixion was cast down and sentenced to burn for eternity in Tartarus, probably because Zeus was compensated for something. To be fair, he was a bit of a third wheel, so he had it coming. I think my case stands that Zeus is the original fuckboy. There's some real crazies out there, and you just gotta watch out for yourself. If you're not careful, you may become onto by an animal, arbitrarily punished, or even eaten alive. But maybe you're into that, I don't know.